Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode. Oh shit, I fucked up. Ignore that. Ignore that. Hold on. All right. Now we in there. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. So listen, I was talking to my man Cesar from Yemi, and he saw the episode last week, and he said, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna get on there, and I'm gonna tell you everything about it." So I brought his ass on here too. He can come on here. We can hear what he got to say. I already talked shit to him before we started, so don't worry about that. He's already riled up. You know what I'm saying? Czar, welcome back to the show.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Listen, I just told him that I just got off the phone with you and I was talking a whole lot of shit to you. So they know that you're ready and you riled up. Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
what you say last time you was on? You got an unhealthy what you Cat Williams say? You got an unhealthy
you got an unhealthy allegiance for liars.
That's right. So then you better be bringing the truth here today, then, brother. Okay.
The whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
That's what we talking about. That's why we always love having you here, brother. So I heard. So hold on, we called her through the grapevine. You just got a little graduation. You got a little thing. So talk to us a little bit about it, just quickly, real quick.
I mean, I done mastered it now. I mean, I was a master.
Tell him.
You know what I mean? Like I got a few more credentials. Got to wear my Harry Potter joint. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Got the little hood and the long sleeves now. You know what I mean? We climbing to the top of that ladder.
Look, that's what you gonna put on there. Master Cesar him did it.
There you go. Him's a master now.
Good shit, man. I'm proud of you as always, man. We always know. We already know that how great you are and how much greatness is in you. So there ain't nothing that we don't know about already. Man. So today's episode, we're gonna talk about some good, some bad, some elite, and some trash teams. Okay, so we gotta see where you at with that, and we're gonna talk about quarterbacks that that are going to be improving. And then we're going to talk about some quarterbacks that are going to be descending. Now, if you need to wrap that up into the whole team, that's cool too. We can get into that as well.
Got you. I'm here with you, my boy.
I know you are. All right, so boom. So I'll actually start it with a team that I think it's going to be good, not great. Okay. So a team that I think is going to be good. You ready? So last week we kind of had a similar conversation, but I'm gonna bring this out. Now, this team I think is actually going to be good. And I really thought about this. I like to bring something new to the table. I think the Commanders are actually going to be good this year. Now, good does not mean Super Bowl contender. Good does not even mean making the playoffs per se. But in comparison to what the reason why I say the Commanders, I think this is going to be one of them wonky years with the NFC East where everybody starts losing and a weird team wins the division. Thus, me inserting in the Commanders as a team that's going to, I think they'll contend for the NFC East throughout the year. I really do.
So you think they're gonna win more than 4 games?
Absolutely. I think they're gonna win closer to about like 8 games.
I'm trying to think. I mean, they're gonna
it could be 7 or 8, but like, so here's the thing. If you look at the NFC East schedule, all of them are playing teams. When you look at their schedule, you're like, none of them are gonna win more than 8 games. Their schedule in the NFC East is crazy this year.
So you think Mariota has it? That's what you're hitching.
I didn't say they was going to win the division. I said it was going to be a good team, meaning they're going to beat some teams that you don't think they're going to beat. And I can see it on your face right now. You can take that stupid look off your face right now.
I think because didn't they they're doing a coaching change.
Mm-hmm.
They changed their whole offense.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Eckler's getting up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Mariota has never done anything. as far as I'm concerned.
He's done stuff. He's been a starter. He's been in the playoffs.
Was he really a starter, or was he just hitched on?
For the Titans, he was the number 2 overall pick. He was absolutely a starter.
Yeah, but that's my point. He was hitched on to the Henry, the Travis Henry. Now you know what I mean? Like, I don't
He
see
was
that.
there before Derrick Henry.
All right, well, listen. I mean, you could be wrong on your own show.
Think about it. Jameis Winston and him were drafted the same year. You think Jameis Winston was drafted the same year as Derrick Henry?
No, you're right.
That's what I'm telling you. Okay. So, like I said, this is nothing outrageous. There was a couple teams I could have went with that were just good. That were just flat out, okay, I think they're a little bit better than you. They're going to get better. They're going to improve this year. I expect it. But you better come with something. I'm going to tell you that right now. Don't let me, and you better not cheat it and pick like the 49ers as a good team or nothing like that.
Nah, so I misunderstood the assignment. I thought the assignment was who's going to be better, who's going to be worse. But it's cool. I'm still good either
way. They are
way.
going to be better.
I mean, being better in 4 games is kind of like, I mean, that's par for the course. Yeah, right.
I think throughout this season they will be in the conversation for who's going to win the NFC East. Do I think they'll win it? No, but they'll be in that conversation. I do think so.
All right, so this one I did cheat because I just think
of course you did. Of course you did. We don't expect anything else.
I think the Chiefs will be improved this year.
Oh my goodness! Oh, can you? Okay,
you see what my boy did last year with no receivers? He got Hollywood Brown, and I'm a Hollywood Brown believer. He has Hollywood Brown. He has an actual receiver this year, and I feel like Hollywood Brown is going to probably. I feel like this is the year that Hollywood Brown is going to approach 1,000 yards.
Are you saying that because he was a Raven and you wanted him to be great in Baltimore and it didn't?
He was good in Baltimore, and we're a running team.
I knew it had something to do with it. I knew it's going to be something about the Ravens.
My man was good in Baltimore. We're a running team. Was he not good in Baltimore?
He was okay.
I mean, okay in Baltimore is good everywhere else because we're a run first team.
Well, he was also okay in Arizona.
And they had Kyler Murray deciding when he wanted to play and when he didn't want to play. I mean, like,
he was hurt.
I feel like
do that to Kyler. Don't do that to Kyler.
I feel like his circumstance is not his potential. I feel like he has a lot of potential, and he's shown that in glimpses, and he's exactly what the Chiefs needed. He's sure-handed. He doesn't drop a lot of passes. He gets yards after the catch. And I feel like the beginning of the season last year, the Chiefs were missing that guy who could catch the ball besides Travis Kelce.
And you picked the time when they get with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and now all of a sudden his upside is all. You know what? You see, I knew he was cheating. You see, this is why
I thought. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought his upside was gonna show up in Arizona, but they also got rid of their number 1. I thought he would have been a perfect.
After this episode, I want you to know. After this episode, I'm gonna talk to the fans, and I'm gonna say why y'all like him so much.
Oh man, listen, I'm just being honest.
I'm gonna talk to the fans, and I'm gonna say why do y'all like him so much?
All right. The rest of them ain't nothing like that. The rest of them is actual. I mean, but when you gave me the headlines, I thought it was like who was improving, and that I think that's a big step because they were throwing receivers out there that don't got no business being receivers. They better cornerbacks.
But that's what I'm saying. What do you mean? Why would you pick that team? They're the Super Bowl champion. What do you mean improving? How do you improve from Super Bowl champion? We going undefeated?
So at the beginning of the season, which we did.
You saying they're going undefeated? We're going to lose one game? What do you mean?
I feel as though if they were going to have an undefeated season, it'll be this year.
See, now you done stepped in it. See, now they're not going undefeated, okay? They're not going.
They had the record they had last year with no receivers. I'm telling you that this kid is he's a definite number 2, but he'd be like one of the bottom of the league number 1s. Now, with the quarterback he has, he might be an actual number 1. That's all I'm saying. They did it last year with no receivers.
That's 100% true. That's a true statement.
And I think that
not no Rasheed Rice is a good receiver.
No, Rashee Rice became a good receiver by the playoffs. Starting the season last year.
In the start of the season, yes, he wasn't very good. In the middle of the season, you had like half of a season and the playoffs for him being a good receiver. He became a number one wide receiver for them.
You wouldn't want him on your team, and I know I wouldn't want
I
him.
would. Rashee Rice was good. I'm not. Listen, so would he be our number one option? No. But would I want him on my team? Absolutely.
As a 3?
I don't give a damn. I find he's a Super Bowl winning wide receiver. I find the space for him. He was a number one wide receiver. Hold on. He was a number one wide receiver on a Super Bowl winning team. I can find a place for him on my roster.
Could he start on all 32 teams as the number one? No.
No, of course not.
Could he start on any of the 32 teams besides the Chiefs as a number one? No.
He could in Baltimore.
No.
Yes. Yes.
He's not better than our young boy.
Who's Zay Flowers?
Yes. Now I know you've been doing some drugs. You think the Commanders going to the playoffs and you think Zay Flowers is not as good as Rice? Come on, my boy.
Yo, he stepped into a role and won a Super Bowl as a number one option. Like, and we just admitted he stepped into it. It's at the beginning of the year, that's not where he was, and he stepped into it. So,
but you're acting as if like he would played a minuscule role in that winning the Super Bowl. There are larger things at play. Like he's not.
So Travis Kelce had a good Super Bowl game, which means that when they looked at how do we stop the Chiefs, when they said this is what we stop 1, 2, 3, they prioritized Rashee Rice over Travis Kelce.
No, they just knew they couldn't stop Travis Kelce.
People stopped Travis Kelce. Okay, he was stopped the week before that in the AFC Championship game against your Ravens. He didn't do much.
You're right, but my Ravens are a lot better.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that, and so they looked at that and said that's not the key to stopping the Chiefs. Let me get Rashee Rice. That's what I'm saying.
I got you.
So, yeah, you might want to watch that when it comes to. I like Zay Flowers, but Rashee Rice is. I mean,
he don't got no choice but to like Zay Flowers. The boy's nice.
You're right. I don't have. You're right. I don't have a choice. You're right. I don't have a choice. But with that said, you know what I'm saying? I like Rashee Rice a little bit more than him right now. Right now, today. We'll see what happens in September. Today, I would take Rashee Rice over Zay Flowers. All right. So tell me, let's run it back with you. Tell me a team who's going to be a little bit worse than they were last year. Or who's going to be a little bit worse? Team. Or bad team, a little bit worse, because then we're gonna do elite and trash. Trash, I would imagine you get that trash is like far worse than
Joe Burrow and the Bengals. They're going to be a worse team.
Are you crazy? Listen, I'm sipping on something. What are you sipping on? You can see what I'm sipping on. What are you?
High on life. I'm high on life.
The Bengals are going to be all right. Explain. Go ahead.
All right. So the Bengals have an issue keeping Joe Burrow healthy. They just went and got Trent Brown, who career-wise, he's a good offensive lineman. But he missed a lot of games last year, and that's not perfect. You know, when you get older missing games, that doesn't mean that you're going to step into this role and be healthy, right? So that's one. 2, we have a disgruntled, what's my man's name? They just lost Tyler Boyd, who I thought was a great number 3. And now they got what's the other wide receiver's name? They got a disgruntled wide receiver over there.
Both of them. Yeah, you're right. T. Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase are right now sitting out. You're 100% right about that.
So your offensive line, I don't think that they fixed the issues. Now your receiving core is disgruntled. You lost your number 3 guy. Your number 2 guy wants to leave, and now Ja'Marr Chase is acting up. And then on top of that, they got rid of Joe Mixon, and I think Joe Mixon fit perfectly in that offense. I think he's a hard-nosed running back. He didn't even require that much money. That's a lot of change in a season, and Joe Burrow ain't even healthy.
He's coming back. He's healthy now. He's healthy now. He's coming back off of the injury.
No, he's still questionable. His injury was a torn ligament in his throwing hand, right? His throwing wrist.
He's
Yeah.
coming back now.
Okay, he can come back now with no weapons, and we don't. I don't know how healthy that offensive line is because that Trent Brown missed more than half the games last season.
Okay, so they invested into the offensive line, which is what you do when you have a quarterback who can win or can get you to the Super Bowl, getting sacked 9 times in the playoff game, which is exactly what happened with Joe Burrow. Okay, so you got Joe Burrow. If you want to act like both of them wide receivers ain't going to be there week 1, you can act like that. They're both going to be there week 1. Now they
You think they both are, or one of them is?
They're both going to be there. They are both going to be there week 1.
Listen, okay. That franchise tag on one, I don't know.
So yeah, they got Trent Brown. They got who did you just say?
They got Trent Brown. They lost Boyd and Higgins.
No, I'm the offensive line. They signed like 3 offensive linemen.
They only signed one. They drafted one and they signed one. Trent Brown is the one they drafted, and so they lost Jonah Williams, who started every game last season, and they picked up Trent Brown, who only played like 6, maybe 7 games last year. Right? Then they went out and drafted first round. They drafted offensive tackle Marius Mims from Georgia. Now, I don't know where he stands as far as like as far as depth chart. Let's see.
No, they signed a center too. I'm looking at that right now. They signed a center. They signed Eric Miller. They signed the center Matt Lee. They signed Trent Brown. They signed was it another one? I'm trying to think if it was another one. Either way, like I said, they signed 3 offensive linemen, and then they drafted.
And
they drafted one. So that's 4 offensive linemen.
Are they re-signing these guys, or are they picking these guys up?
Because they signed them. Like I'm looking at it right now on ESPN.com. They signed free agents. So what I'm saying is they invested into the offensive line and it being a strength. Okay. So what I'm saying is your best case scenario is that both the wide receivers will not be there week 1, which even if you're right, your division, everybody's going to be losing in your division. Not because you're bad, because y'all got to play each other and all of you are good.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is all of your records are going to be deflated. So even if they lose, like let's say that like they go 1-2, they still like in my opinion still have the best quarterback in the division. I do think he's the best quarterback in the division, Joe Burrow. I still think he got the best. I think they still got the best quarterback in the division. I think they still got the best weapons in the division.
I'm not sure.
So the wide receivers are coming back. So T. Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase supplants all the rest of the wide receivers and tight end combinations in the AFC North. And defensively, all of them have good defenses. So even if you got the worst of 4 defenses, you still have a legit defense. So even if they got the worst of the 4 defenses, they still got a legit defense.
And honestly, I mean, the Browns wide receiver core got better, but I don't trust in the quarterback core. But I feel like the Browns wide receiver core could rival that, but the Browns got a little worse.
I don't think the Browns got worse. I don't think the Browns got worse. I think
I don't think losing Kareem Hunt is a big deal.
He's back.
Who they lose? They lost.
They lost Kareem Hunt. He came back.
Are you sure?
He was hurt last year. They did not lose Kareem Hunt. They have 2 running backs right now. They have Kareem Hunt and they got the boy Joshua Ford. Their running back depth is stronger this year than it was last year.
Okay. NFL.com had him as a big loss for him.
Where? Because he's on the team.
Here, I'll send you the link.
We'll look at that while we're in between the next segment. But either way, honestly, I think the Bengals are going to win the division.
I thought they were last year, and I was surprised.
Well, Joe Burrow got hurt
again.
But then now they invested into that offensive line, didn't lose any of those weapons, and retained the defense.
No, they lost Tyler Boyd. I think that's a problem. I think Tyler Boyd was the best number 3 in football.
So,
and then
who cares about having the best number 3 wide receiver?
I think Joe Mixon is a big deal too. I mean, they replaced him. They replaced Joe Mixon with
Joe Mixon's not.
Who they get? You don't like Joe Mixon as running back?
He's not terrible, but he's not a big deal.
They replaced him with your number 2.
Yeah, Zach Moss.
Zach Moss.
Yeah, and I look at that and I say Zach Moss is as good as Joe Mixon. Yeah, in my head, yeah. I don't think that's a step back in terms of their running back. Zach Moss is good.
Zach Moss is good as a 2. Is he good as a 1? Like that to me is where it comes in.
But he wasn't really so. Last year for us, he really didn't fit into like the number 2 role. There were some games where he was the number 2. There were some games where he was the number 1 as well.
Because your boy was holding out. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is I like Zach Moss though. I think Zach Moss is a good running back. I watched him, in an invested offensive line with Joe Burrow. And he had and now he's got an upgraded quarterback because you remember Anthony Richardson was hurt last year, so we had Gardner Minshew. So the box is more wide open. Is less it's more wide open right now.
I don't think Gardner Minshew was trash. I
didn't say he was trash. I said among starting quarterbacks, he's number 32.
32
among starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean 32 is far, but okay. I think Gardner Minshew is gonna win that Raiders seat this year.
Yeah, I agree, and they're gonna suck because of it. We missed the playoffs because we had Gardner Minshew. I like him. I mean, he was a Colt. I appreciate what his efforts, but he's not overly talented. You know what I mean?
He's not, but he's savvy. He I kind of like grit players. You know what I mean? And that's what Gardner Minshew. I mean, he beat us last year.
If you like grit players, then the Bengals are gonna love Zach Moss. I'll leave that there.
Okay.
All right. So.
My other team that got a little worse was the Falcons.
You think they got worse?
You believe in Kirk Cousins?
Is Kirk Cousins better than what they had last year?
Not coming off a Achilles injury, like you
gotta. Sure he is. Yeah, he was that bad. What was his name? I can't even think of his name.
Ridley. No, not Ridley. Ritter.
Yeah, I do think he's better than Ritter coming off of an Achilles injury. I do.
I don't think paying him all that money at this age, coming off a leg injury when you're already not mobile, I don't think that's going to work out for them.
Well, think about it. You got a young running back, right? So it's about who you can get, first of all. So what I'm about to say is concluding he was the best that they can get. You got a young running back. Running backs, their wear and tear gets to them pretty early in their career. You got a Kyle Pitts who's never really produced to what you thought the league thought he was supposed to be. You need somebody to step in and say, I need to take pressure off that running back. I need to get what I did invest into. And you got Drake London too. I need to invest into something that gets the pressure off from our running back, gets the most out of this tight end, this was he a prodigy he was supposed to be?
He's supposed to be a prodigy, but we haven't seen anything yet.
But this prodigy that I invested into and this number 1 wide receiver out of USC. And I need somebody who knows how to figure all that out. Do I think Kirk Cousins is that guy coming off of an Achilles more than Ritter? Absolutely.
See, here's my problem. They picked Kirk Cousins and you still have Russell Wilson out there. You still had Chicago trying to deal Justin Fields. You still had Jameis Winston out there.
I don't think Justin Fields is better for that scenario. I didn't say Justin Fields is not better in that scenario. The picture that I just pinpointed to you, I think Kirk Cousins, even coming off an Achilles, is better in that scenario than Justin Fields.
You think all right, but what about Russell Wilson? What about Jameis Winston? What about Gardner Minshew?
We don't know what Russell Wilson is right now. If we gonna have a real honest conversation,
bad last year.
I didn't say he was bad. What I'm saying is he got paid elite money and he was overpaid.
No, we don't. You're looking at the Denver Broncos production. Now, if you look at what he did, it's the coaching and the defense that let that team down.
But we're talking about Sean Payton. When you say it's the coaching, we're talking about Sean Payton, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, who won a Super Bowl in a city where they used to be the Aints, who changed the culture of a whole franchise, and now all of a sudden he gets Russell Wilson, and he's like, this ain't it.
I think Sean Payton is one of the most overrated head coaches of all times.
So people win Super Bowls for nothing.
No, he had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He had a great, bro. What has he done besides that one Super Bowl? Please tell me.
He's going to 3 NFC Championship games
with Drew Brees. What has he done without Drew Brees? What did he do before he had Drew Brees? What did he do after?
That was his first head coaching job. He never was a head coach before.
Sean Payton is fucking overrated, and it's going to be proven again this year and next year. And then
this year they're going to suck. This year they're going to suck.
He's never going to be good again.
Next year we'll see. This year
he's never going to be good again, my guy. Never.
We'll see.
Like you're saying that Sean Payton is such a genius, but he wanted Russell Wilson.
No, he didn't. Russell Wilson was there. He wanted a job.
Well, he don't deserve one.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to figure that one out. I got nothing for what he deserves.
He ain't what everybody.
Let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing. All right. So who's going to be elite then? Unfortunately, you already picked the Chiefs. So in the good. So now I want to see who you're basically going to be telling me who's going to be their contender for the Super Bowl.
When you said, the way I understood it was who was going to be a little better, who's going to be a little worse, who's going to fall off, and who's going to make a big jump. So both my teams are going to make a jump. One is going to surprise you, and one you already know. The Steelers, I feel, are going to make a jump. Their weakness last year was quarterback. They had a stellar defense. They have a great running game, but between the 12 quarterbacks that they had playing quarterback, me and you could have did a better job. All right. This year, they got Russell Wilson, who I believe can be an elite game manager. He can stretch the plays when needed. And you have Justin Fields, who I feel like is a more athletic version of what Russell Wilson is now. I feel like with that defense, and they just shorted up a little bit more with Patrick Queen, I feel like they are going to make the biggest jump from last year. Because actually, they made the playoffs last year, but they didn't have.
They didn't.
Oh, did the Bengals make the playoffs? No, wait. I thought we had 3 teams.
It was the Ravens and it was the Browns.
All right. I feel like they're going to make the biggest jump. Hey, they were 10-7. I feel like they'll be a playoff team. No, they made the playoffs.
They lost to the Dolphins in the first round?
Yeah.
Damn, the AFC North had 3 teams in the playoffs last year?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like their biggest weakness last year is.
No, they couldn't have been.
What do you mean they couldn't have been? They were 10-7. The Texans made it. The Chiefs made it. The Dolphins, the Bills, and 3 teams from the AFC North. And they made it with no quarterbacks. This year, they have a quarterback. And I don't like to say that because you see I'm a Ravens fan. But at the end of the day, I feel like that was you gave one guy who had no stability in system, coaching, organization, the most stable organization in football history, and the other guy who was asked to do so much to not do
Steelers
anything.
lost to Buffalo. You're 100% right. They lost in the wild card round.
I'm telling you, they're gonna make a big jump. And
Okay, so what I'm saying is, the Steelers will be better, not because the overall team is better, just because I do agree that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields is better than Pickett from last year.
Pickett, Trubisky, Rudolph, they played everybody last year.
So I agree, but they ain't going into like anything like a quantum leap or anything like that.
I think if you don't have as many mistakes at quarterback, like
I'm gonna give you a team right now. I'm gonna give you a team right now.
Defensive Player of the Year.
And he's one of the candidates, yes.
I think he should have been. He had the numbers.
Myles Garrett was over there and he led a defense that was like outstanding. And I'm not gonna act like
stat for stat, look him up.
I'm gonna give you an elite team right now. You ready?
Yeah.
The New York Jets.
All right. Now
that's what you say when you're gonna say something, okay? The New York Jets. Once again, same answer I'm gonna give you when I gave you with the Bengals. They invested into the offensive line. Now, does that mean they're going to go 13-3 or 14-3 or anything like that? No, I don't see that. And actually, they would be a much harder team to play against if they got into the playoffs at like 10-7. But that's a team that I think when you look at the weapons that they had, they still got Aaron Rodgers, they got Breece Hall, they got Garrett Wilson, they just picked up Mike Williams from the Chargers. They just got Tyron Smith out of Dallas. And they picked up another offensive lineman as well on a defense that was already like that. That team right now, if the injuries aren't there, they're a Super Bowl contender. That's a Super Bowl contender, and I can say that right now today.
My other team that's going to make a quantum leap.
Don't just talk past what I said, okay?
The Texans. The Texans. You can say whatever you want, but I believe in that young boy, C.J. Stroud. They picked up Joe Mixon. I believe in Joe Mixon. They added Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs is a true number one. To add to Nico Collins and Tank Dell, that offense, we didn't know who Nico Collins was until last year. Tank Dell was a rookie last year, and now you're adding Diggs and Mixon to that. And I believe in DeMeco Ryans. That team is a Super Bowl contender. There are a lot of wide receiver cores out there. This wide receiver core might be the best, and they're the freshest, the youngest, and the hungriest. So DeMeco Ryans is a stellar coach, and CJ Stroud coming off a rookie campaign, he should have a sophomore slump. But they added to what he had, and he's going to be a fucking problem. I'm telling you that right now.
I agree. I agree. The Texans should be a Super Bowl contender. Do I think they're more of a contender? No injuries nowhere than the Jets? No, I don't. But I do think that they're up there.
You're one injury away on your side, and you can injure anybody but CJ Stroud on my side, and we're still a Super Bowl contender.
No.
Yes.
No. Because the Jets last year lost Aaron Rodgers. That's why they didn't make the playoffs.
Okay.
So if CJ Stroud get hurt this year, they a Super Bowl contender? No. So you're one injury away from it too.
Anybody but CJ Stroud. Without not injuring a quarterback. If your number one goes down, do you still have a number one? No.
All right, so you just proved my point about a little earlier about Joe Mixon. If Joe Mixon get hurt, that doesn't really change their ability to get to the Super Bowl. That's exactly what I was saying about Joe Mixon. He's good, but he ain't all that. That's all I was saying. That's all I was saying.
I said I like him in the Bengals system. That's all I was saying. Number two, I just want to go back to something earlier because
I'm saying they got 3 wide receivers, but you know it's only one football, right?
You're right. But CJ Stroud, he might be like that.
But it's one football though.
Myles Garrett.
Can I ask you one question though before you even go to Myles Garrett? Name me the time when having the best wide receiver core in football translated to winning a Super Bowl.
When the St. Louis Rams did it back in like
They
The
didn't
greatest show
have
on
the
turf.
best wide
Not the time
receiver.
they lost. Huh?
They did. You're talking about when they just won with Matt Stafford? They didn't have the best wide receiver.
No, not with Matt Stafford. The year before Tom Brady beat them, they were the best receiving core in football.
They didn't win a Super Bowl. My question was, when has that ever? When has having the best wide receiver core in football ever translated into winning a Super Bowl? Why are you still thinking about that? Keep thinking. You're gonna keep
I'll
thinking.
get back to you with that.
So why you say?
Garrett,
Because my
Miles
whole point,
Garrett,
because I
TJ
made a
Watt.
point to you last year, even last year, that having a top 5 wide receiver might be more of an hindrance to you winning a Super Bowl than anything else. You see, I don't like teams that have a top 5 wide receiver in terms of winning a Super Bowl. So when we talk about wide receiver cores being the best, that's never happened, brother. That's never happened. I've never that you keep you're gonna keep thinking. And I want us to get to this point when I when we get this all cut up and everything. Because that has never happened. The team that won the Super Bowl had the best wide receiver core in the NFL. That's never happened.
Okay, I'm gonna get back to you on that one. Back to my Miles Garrett, TJ Watt. In every conceivable stat, I want to say TJ Watt was better. Let me see. Give me 2 seconds. TJ Watt had more fumble recoveries. They had the same amount of forced fumbles. TJ Watt had more solo tackles, more sacks, more yards, more interceptions. But he didn't win the Defensive Player of the Year.
You know why?
Why?
Because the Browns were down to their fourth quarterback and still made the playoffs. Let me give you some information on the fourth quarterback. That means at the beginning of this year or midway through the season, that person wasn't even on the team. So you're talking about just the fact of having that. And what I'm saying is the degree of difficulty to pull that into the playoffs, which that Browns defense absolutely did pull them into playoffs because they also lost Nick Chubb as well. That's harder than what TJ Watt did.
So how many starting quarterbacks did the Steelers have last year? They didn't have 4 quarterbacks?
No, they had 2.
No, they played 4 quarterbacks last year. Hold on.
Pickett. They got Pickett and they had the backup that they had for years.
Lidke and Rudolph.
Pickett and Rudolph.
Huh?
That's it. Pickett and Rudolph. And now we got to get back to the trash segment when we get back to the next part of the segment, just to let you know, because we got about a minute.
You only got a minute left, but you're right.
I know. Listen, what do you think? Who do you think you're talking to?
They played 3 quarterbacks last year.
Didn't I call you before we had this episode? I told you I stay ready.
Listen, they started 3 quarterbacks last year. Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitchell Trubisky.
All quarterbacks that they expected to play roles, all quarterbacks that were in the rotation for who was going to be the starter last year.
Okay.
The Browns knew that Deshaun Watson was supposed to be the starter. He got hurt. They went to the backup who didn't play nothing. He got hurt. Then they went to the third string quarterback who damn sure didn't do nothing. He got hurt. And then they had to go get Joe Flacco off the street. And he wasn't there.
Listen, all I'm saying is my boy TJ had more production. 1989 and 1994, Jerry Rice and John Taylor were the best receiving core in football. I'm going to go back to my 1998-99. Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, they combined for 3K. That was the best receiving core in football, 3K in receiving yards. And then I'm even going to throw at you Tom Brady's most recent Super Bowl win. I'm going to say they were a top 5 receiving core. Maybe not the best, but when Tampa Bay beat Kansas City, that receiving core was top tier.
One, they wouldn't have won that Super Bowl if Patrick Mahomes had both.
No,
if he didn't have both of his tackles. So I don't think they were the best receiver core in the league. And you're talking about the year they had Tyreek Hill, correct? So that means they had Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and I can't think. My man, he went to Clemson. He got drafted by Buffalo. Can't think of his name right now.
Okay.
I can't think of it, but no.
I didn't say the best. I said they were top tier. They were like definitely a top
No,
five
I
receiver
said
core.
the best.
No, you actually said top five. And you got cocky
No,
when you
I said top 5 wide receivers. Receiver core, I said the best.
You're right. Well, I'm still going my Jerry Rice and John Taylor. They did it twice.
I'd
Both
have
in
to look back. All right, I'd have to look back.
89
Uh,
and
you might
89
have
and
the
90,
1 year. You might
94.
have the 1 year, which is why this must be why the fans love you so much. You might have brought up 1 year where that actually was the truth. The
Ter-
1 year.
Terry Holt and Isaac Bruce going for 3K
That's
in
what I said.
1999.
That's the year I'm talking about because they also had Akeem. And I know the year you're talking about, okay? And they had Marshall Faulk if you really want to throw that in there. That might be the 1 year they were talking about. Let me look back at 2000. What year was that? 2003?
No, that was 99, 2000.
99, 2000. They didn't
Yeah.
win. They didn't win it in 2000. Yes, they did.
Yeah,
They beat the Titans.
They beat the
The
Titans.
Titans. Let me look back. Let me look back at that after the episode. Either way,
89 and 94 are the 49ers.
I will look at that. Okay.
You can, sir.
Okay. So, but predominantly speaking, having the number 1 wide receiver core in football is not going to get you a break.
I mean, defense wins championships is the saying.
Defense, running game, quarterback, offensive line, all these things get championships more than wide receiver core.
You're right.
Okay.
I might say Denver might have had one of them years when Denver won it with John Elway. They had a top tier receiving core. I don't know if it was the best.
They didn't have the best. They could no, they didn't have the best. They had McCaffrey, they had Ed McCaffrey, they had Rod Smith, and I don't
Sharp.
And who?
Shannon Sharp.
And they had Shannon Sharp. I guarantee you, if I go back to 1998, there's a better wide receiver core than that. I guarantee you.
I'm just saying they might be on that list.
But either way, what we need to know right now is who's about to fall off a cliff this year.
Absolutely. The Rams. The Rams made the playoffs last year.
Falling off a cliff, first of all.
They're a playoff team last year. You think they're gonna be
They were a surprise playoff team. People didn't think they were gonna make the playoffs last year.
Well, they did make the playoffs. That's all that matters. And they lost the heart and soul of that team.
Yes, they did.
They lost the heart and soul of that team. A generational talent, maybe one of the greatest defensive linemen of all times. What was he? 3-time defensive player of the year, like 8-time All-Pro out of 9 seasons. The boy's a problem. And they didn't even try to replace him though. That's the crazy thing.
Because you can't.
When you lose your defensive tackle, you might want to go get a defensive tackle.
When you lose a generational talent, you don't try to draft a generational talent at that position.
I'm not saying draft a
ain't.
I'm saying
they can't, bro.
There's no way you got a back. So you're telling me
go get everything else. Go get everything else but that.
They should never draft another defensive tackle.
No, I'm saying in the draft after he retires.
You got to go after what you need. You got receivers. I guess they think they have.
Well, they clearly needed more than just a defensive tackle, or they would have won a Super Bowl last year. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's right. That's what I like to hear. Silence.
I feel like teams don't necessarily need something and lost a Super Bowl. Like going into last year, I thought the 49ers looked good. I also thought that the Eagles looked good, and they proved me wrong. Like I didn't think they actually needed something.
Well, unfortunately for your argument, they clearly did because they fell off a cliff. You just named teams that fell off a cliff.
The 49ers fell off a cliff?
They ain't fall off a cliff. But they got handled by
another team that's
But the Eagles did fall off a cliff.
Another team that's going to fall off a cliff this year is the Bills, the Buffalo Bills.
You're going to be wrong about that. And I said that last week. You're going to be wrong. They're going to make the playoffs this year. The Buffalo Bills are going to make the playoffs this year. And you're saying, you see, this is exactly my point. You're stating that because they lost wide receivers. And I am telling you, it's not going to matter. Their defense is good. Their offensive line is good. They now have a running game that they can rely on. The fact that they got these wide receivers that they got to figure stuff out with is only going to make them more dangerous come playoff time. They're going to make the playoffs, and you're going to be wrong about that.
Yeah, I like that. I like, but you just said the Jets are gonna make the playoffs, and the Bills are gonna make the playoffs.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure the Dolphins are gonna make the playoffs.
You're pretty sure that the Dolphins are not going to make the playoffs, sir. That's what we're pretty sure about. The Dolphins are going to be out of the playoffs, which is why. Hold on. So hold on, but we can hold that right there. So my two teams. So I had two teams that are going to fall off a cliff this year. One of which is the Miami Dolphins. That was one of my teams, and you walked right on into it. Listen, Tua ain't that guy. I'm not saying he's bad. He's good. He's good. He ain't a carrier of. There's a lot of holes in my roster. You lost Christian Wilkinson, your best defensive player, and you lost Xavier Howard, your best cornerback. So now they still have Jalen Ramsey, but you got Bradley Chubb. You traded your picks with Bradley Chubb, and he's not that guy. Your offensive line is still bad, and you got these fast wide receivers and a fast running back, but you're not going to run the ball 30 times a game, which is what it would take to carry this roster into the playoffs. And they're not going to do that. The Dolphins are going to miss the playoffs this year.
Okay, I don't see that, but okay.
We're going to see it. I'm going to give you another team that you're not going to see, and you're not going to like this one. I was waiting for this one too. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Go ahead.
The Baltimore Ravens are going to miss the playoffs this year, sir.
I like when you doubt me because you doubted me last year too.
I did not. I said y'all was going to make the playoffs last year. I did not say y'all was going to win the Super Bowl. I didn't say y'all were going to the Super Bowl.
Just remember this, and I wanted people like you to think, because I actually didn't like the Derrick Henry pickup. I didn't like the moves we made in the offseason, but the moves we made in the offseason were necessary moves because we lost Patrick Queen, we lost that bum
Odell.
He's a bum.
You lost, and you better not say this person's a bum because you made all this raw about this person. Jadeveon Clowney, you lost him too.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Don't you do it. I heard what you said.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Hold on. For the people who don't know, who weren't listening last year, what he said was, you doubted the signing of Jadeveon Clowney. That's what you said to me. And I said,
no, I didn't doubt that.
No, you said that. That's what I said. You said that I said, which I did say, it's not that big of a pickup. And you repeated that, recited that, and said, this is clearly a big pickup. And you lost it. So don't you say nothing bad about Jadeveon Clowney. Don't you say nothing bad.
That worked out for us. Here's the problem.
And he's not there.
You're right. He's not.
So your roster is worse than it was last year.
No. What you fail to realize is when you thrive in a system, right? And we've done this every time we've gone far. We get guys that other teams cherry pick who think they're that guy. You're that guy when you're in my system.
Not pass rushers. Not pass rushers.
Not pass rushers?
Pass rushers don't thrive in a system. Pass rushers pass rush.
His productivity will drop off next year. Just like it wasn't there the year before.
Listen, you lost a pass rusher that you said was legit.
I didn't say it was a shit. I said he's going to work for us. He's going to work for us. Never said he was a shit. There's a difference between a guy working because our team is great, our defensive unit is great.
Guys, I just want my cousin to know, football family to know that's not what he said to me.
Just remember this.
When the camera was not on and we was talking behind, I'm talking about behind the scenes when nobody was there. That's not what he said. I just want y'all to know.
I said the Ravens will resurrect him. And just as they resurrected him, he shall fall again. Period. Remember this. We had Patrick Queen before we had Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith made Patrick Queen. The Steelers picking him up was actually a very good move for the Steelers because it does weaken us on run defense.
These people, and now they going, and it's like it's nothing. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm saying. I gave you two teams.
Remember this.
Remember I said this, and I said this. We in June. The Dolphins are gonna come out the playoffs. The Ravens are gonna come out the playoffs. Remember, I said that right now.
Remember, I told you this. Remember this. The first time Lamar Jackson won the MVP, what did he have?
He had a top 5 defense. He had a top 5 running game. Even without him, he was able to put up about 350, which was last year, by the way. The last time he won.
No, the first time, not last time.
The first time. It was pretty much the same thing. He had he was able to put about 350 yards a game and like 1 or 2 touchdowns. But 250 was in the air, about 100 was on the ground. But his wide receiver core wasn't that great, and he was carrying that wide receiver core.
So we have an upgraded receiving core because I think Zay Flowers is better than I think it was Hollywood Brown at that point.
So who is better than OBJ on that roster? Because he was the number 2.
I'm not comparing this year to last year. I'm comparing this year to 3 years ago when he won the MVP the first time. The first time he won the MVP, he had 1,000-yard hard-nosed rusher. And that's what the Ravens are trying to recreate.
Gus Bus.
Not Gus. Mark Ingram.
Okay.
The only 1,000-yard rusher that Lamar Jackson has ever played with. They're
Gus didn't have 1,000. Gus didn't have 1,000.
No, Gus was always their running back by committee.
Okay.
The only 1,000-yard rusher in Lamar Jackson's history.
That's fair.
Mark Ingram. They're trying to recreate that. If you try and put 8 in the box, you're now going to have an issue because Isaiah Likely is going. We're probably going to run a 2 tight end system. You heard it here first.
You better.
So Isaiah Likely and what's my boy's name? Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers are going to give fits. You put 8 in the box and Derrick Henry gets loose, it's a problem. You don't put 8 in the box and Derrick Henry will get loose without a problem.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Are you giving Derrick Henry the ball or not in these scenarios?
You have to.
Okay, so then I'm putting linebackers in there, and Isaiah Likely is not a blocker.
Okay, Mark Andrews is.
The point that I'm making is, you're not only in that scenario taking away Likely's strength, you're taking away Zay Flowers' strength.
Okay, so when you give him the ball, it plays into his strength. When you don't give him the ball, you still got to put 8 people in the box. You have Derrick Henry in the backfield.
Yeah, I'm putting 8 in the box all year, and I don't think Zay Flowers is good enough to basically say he ain't putting up 1,500.
He'll break 1,000 this year.
He ain't putting up 1,500.
He'll break 1,000 this year.
Okay, so we're saying the same thing. So he ain't putting up 1,500. So me putting 8 in the box all year. So me putting 8 in the box all year is basically me saying I know how to defeat this because he can't put up 1,500.
I don't need him to put up 1,500. I can get 3,800 yards out of Zay, Andrews, and Isaiah Likely, and
3,800. So basically 4,000 yards. No,
you're gonna see a 4,000 yard season from Lamar Jackson.
No, you can't. No, you can't. and that's where
you're gonna see another 4,000. You're gonna see a 4,000 yard season out of Lamar Jackson. Remember, there's 17 games and not 16 anymore.
He's
not 4,000 yard game out of Lamar Jackson. You're gonna see 1,000 yards coming from Derrick Henry.
Lamar Jackson is not throwing for 4,000 yards this year.
It's okay. You're gonna be wrong about.
That's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
You were wrong about
who?
The Bengals. You'd be wrong about the Dolphins.
You think I'm wrong, but I'm not.
You'd be wrong about the Dolphins.
You think I'm wrong, but I'm
be wrong about the Ravens. And just like you were wrong about the receiving course.
You got one. You have one in 100 years. You have one. Okay? Now, I'm not wrong when you have one singular argument.
I gave you 3 and 30. I gave you 3 and 30 years. I gave you 3 and 30 years, but
no,
it's okay.
You gave me one. I gotta look up 89, but the other one, you're wrong.
89 and 94? 2,500 yards.
Stallworth wasn't there for the 49ers in 94.
I didn't say Stallworth. Jonathan Taylor.
Or Jonathan Taylor, excuse me. Jonathan Taylor wasn't there for 89 and 94.
Yes, he was. I looked that up.
Well, then in 94, he's not that. I can guarantee you he wasn't that guy in 94.
He was probably the best number 2 in football. And it doesn't matter because
I'm going to give you that answer. And I'm going to give you that answer.
Jerry Rice.
I guarantee you 89 and 94, that's not the answer.
Jerry Rice led the league with like 1,600 yards, bro.
Jerry Rice is Jerry Rice. I don't listen. See, when I said top 5 wide receivers, outside of Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, Lynn Swann, depending on how you see it, Marvin Harrison and Cooper Kupp. Those are the only 5, depending on how you see those last 2, to be top 5 wide receivers at the time when they won the Super Bowl. But Marvin Harrison, you may not see him as a number 5 at that time in 2007. And Cooper Kupp, who I don't think was a top 5 wide receiver, and he never replicated that again, which is why I don't think he was a top 5 wide receiver. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm giving you, in terms of definitively, we can sit on it. Lynn Swann, Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice. Those were the top 5 wide. So there's instances of anything, but if you give me one, in which I'm saying you gave me one, just relax. So let's move on. Let's move on.
I want a public apology when you're wrong, but it's okay.
You go, and I don't have an issue in the world with issuing a public apology if I was wrong about it.
And you really think the Bills are going to make the playoffs next year?
Absolutely. And the Dolphins won't. Okay. So we're going to move on. So who's going to be a quarterback?
So wait. Real quick. So you got 2 teams coming from the AFC East, and you only have 2 coming from the NFC or AFC North?
I have 2 coming from the AFC East, and I have 2 coming from the AFC North.
Okay. And you have 2 coming from the South and West?
I have 2 coming from the South. And the AFC West, I have 1. And I'm debating on who that last pick is.
All right, save it for the Ravens, but I got you. Go ahead.
We'll see. So I need to know who's ascending this year.
Who's ascending?
Who's ascending? So give me a quarterback, a team. Give me who is going to be like, oh, he's that guy, or this team is that team. If it's a combination of both, give it to me. We'll decipher through it.
Combination of both. Ascension. CJ Stroud. The Houston Texans.
Oh, boy, you can't ascend. They expect it. That's not ascension.
That's
ascension. Are they going to the Super Bowl?
They're going. That's my sleeper pick to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to dethrone your boy.
So they're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
Okay.
They're going to be AFC.
Okay. Then I agree that you can put them into this argument. They're not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, but I do agree they can come into this argument if that's what you honestly feel.
I honestly feel that. I think as far as ascension goes, I already said this. Gardner Minshew is going to win that again. Going to be QB1 in Oakland, or in Las Vegas. I think that Bryce Young is going to surprise people because they actually solidified their offensive line. They still haven't given any weapons, but they're making strides. I think Bryce Young is going to make leaps and bounds. He's still not going to make the playoffs. Well, he might make the playoffs because they're fucking terrible. That whole division is terrible.
They're not going to make the playoffs. The Falcons are going to make the playoffs. They're coming out of that division. It's not believed. I don't think they're going to.
Because his name is Cousins.
No. I just listen. So last year, who I thought was going to win the division was actually the Saints.
Yeah.
That clearly was wrong. Okay. They're not going to win it this year either. I don't think the Saints are going to win it this year either. Tampa Bay showed you a blip in a trend. Gardner Minshew. Baker Mayfield is not that guy. He's not that guy.
I think he's going to fall off this year. I think he's going to have a sophomore slump in Tampa.
That leaves what do you think is going? You believe Carolina has a better chance to win the division than Atlanta?
I think when you come to the table with two hobbled quarterbacks, like that to me was the dumbest offseason in football. Honestly, you could have reset the market last year and got Lamar Jackson. You refused to, right? This year, you're the first to go get a quarterback, and you get the most useless one. He's been stealing from the
so transparently, I don't like drafting, or I don't like evaluating drafts until year 3. Because if we're going to be honest about it, there's going to be people that surprise you. There's going to be people that are worse than you think. That's just me. So I don't know how to look at that, what anybody did, and say it was good or bad. Because sometimes there were drafts that you'd be like, that was a bad draft.
I'm talking about the whole offseason. You had the opportunity to do a lot of shit, but you went and got Kirk Cousins first. The first move in the whole offseason was Kirk Cousins getting signed.
And I understand it because he was the best of what you could get at the time.
It wasn't. You think he's better than Russell Wilson right now?
It's about the same.
You think paying him all that money is the same as paying Russell Wilson $1 million?
He didn't. See, you're looking at it in that scope. And I'm saying you don't know that Russell Wilson wasn't going to be able to come in and demand all that money from Atlanta.
I think that.
Matter of fact, if he had came in with saying $1 million in that scenario, I would say Russell Wilson over Kirk Cousins. My thought is he didn't come in with that.
At the end of the day, you got to take what you have. You can't. One quarterback signed for $1 million and the other quarterback signed for like.
But what if Russell asked Atlanta for 10? What if he asked for 30? What if he asked for 40? What if he asked for 50? I don't know what he asked for is what I'm saying.
I don't think Atlanta even talked to him.
What I'm saying is based on what transpired and Russell Wilson being gone, I do think getting Kirk Cousins with all that money was the best that you could do in this scenario.
The difference is you're saying it as if Wilson was gone first and Kirk Cousins was signed first. That's the problem I'm having with what you're saying.
But hold on. I'm gonna answer that. Everybody knew Denver wanted Russell Wilson to be gone. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew. So the conversation was there. Do I think that they never had that conversation at all? I can't confirm or deny anything, but I would lead to believe they had the conversation.
I would like to believe they had the conversation, but then I also know that sometimes the most common sense thing, most times the most common sense thing doesn't even take place. Like, for instance, last year the Kansas City Chiefs had 0 receivers. I, being a fucking nobody, probably would have said maybe Julio Jones would work better than these guys that drop every pass.
But Julio Jones is old, bro.
Okay.
Julio Jones is the Eagles' 4th wide receiver and didn't even play.
That's fine. You don't think he would have more productivity than the 3rd wide receiver than from the fucking?
No, I don't.
Who was the 3rd wide receiver?
It doesn't matter. I think we remember Julio Jones because of the name and who he was. Who he is? No, I don't think.
All I need him is to have short hands. I don't need him to run routes. They made Patrick Mahomes look like shit last year.
Listen, if you think the Kansas City Chiefs didn't address, and they won the Super Bowl, so clearly they're smarter than everybody. If you think they didn't think about getting Julio Jones at all, and they're smarter than everybody, I think you're overlooking where Julio Jones is.
I don't think everybody goes through. Like, if the Eagles are contenders and they go pick up Julio Jones, I think that's a telltale sign that shit didn't happen.
Julio Jones didn't do anything for the Eagles. Like we're gonna look back at Julio Jones' career, and them pictures where you'd be like, oh, they was in this uniform, and look how weird they look. It's gonna be Julio Jones in the Eagles uniform. That's what I'm trying to tell you. but let me get to my ascending quarterback, and it's not even really what I think; it's what I'm being told. And I'm coming right at that Houston Texans pick that you just came.
Love it.
You ready for this? If what they're saying is right about Anthony Richardson, the Indianapolis Colts are actually going to win the AFC South. You don't know why? You want to know why?
I'm listening.
Because
I'm listening, but I'm listening.
Because at that point, I think with Latu, I think we got the best pass rusher in the division. I think defensive line. I think we would have the best defensive line and talk about top to bottom defensive line. Defense is another conversation. Best defensive line. I think we'll have the best. We'll have at least tied for the best with Jacksonville, the best linebacker core in the division. We got the best offensive line. We have the deepest tight end room. And I think our wide receivers are more feng shui, working together, understanding this is how we're going to have to play than the Houston Texans are, even knowing that the Houston Texans wide receiver core. If Anthony Richardson is ascending, like everybody else is telling me the Indianapolis Colts are a Super Bowl contender. You heard it here first.
I hate when fans do fan shit. Like
I just told you something, and I listen. I cleared the throat. Hold on,
that's the craziest shit.
I just want you to understand what you were just given in the moment, because I cleared my throat just to make sure that nothing was misconstrued. It was clear, it was concise, and that you heard it. Okay. If Anthony Richardson is what they say he is, the Indianapolis Colts are a Super Bowl contender this year.
I will be the first to say I'm an Anthony Richardson fan, right? I really do like your quarterback, and I want him to do well. And I do think they're the second best team in that division. Because as we have teams that are ascending, I personally think that Trevor Lawrence, the chosen one, is falling off. He's going to have.
If they're right about Anthony Richardson, he's the third best quarterback in this division.
Who?
If they're right about Anthony Richardson, then Trevor Lawrence is the third best quarterback in this division because he ain't better than C.J. Stroud.
I know. That's why.
So that would mean Anthony Richardson is better than Trevor Lawrence.
I just said that. I feel as though you're the second best team in that division. And at the end of the season, when you are the second best team in that division, I want you to come back and say, you know what, Quay? You know what, Czar? I want you to be like,
listen, I didn't want to give your government out. You see what I'm saying? I didn't want to put you out there. You see what I'm saying?
I want you to come back and say, you were right again. I mean, because I remember when we used to argue about that boy Andrew Luck in the hospital screaming that shit. And I didn't like hurting your feelings.
I like how you said again. I never told you that in the first place.
Listen, just know that I feel as though y'all the second best team in the division. And that's actually how it's listed. In alphabetical order, HIJT. Y'all the second best. And even if Anthony Richardson is who they say he is, he still ain't no CJ Stroud. That's all I'm saying. Like,
I'm saying is he don't have to be as good as CJ Stroud to have the team is better than the Houston Texans team. Quarterback, take the quarterbacks away. The Indianapolis Colts have a stronger roster than the Houston Texans.
They don't have a better receiving core.
I said more feng shui. They're going to work better together.
I actually like the Texans coaching better. I love DeMeco Ryans.
Listen. Shane Steichen, like He's a legit coach. And then we got Jonathan Taylor. I didn't even mention the running game. We got the best running game.
You guys have a better running game. You guys aren't better coach. You have a better running game. I can't see you have a better defense. I'm not as familiar with your offensive line. I like your backup quarterback better than the Texans. But yeah, I mean 1A, 1B, but I feel as though the Texans are more posed.
Heard what I said. Listen, because you know you're gonna be back up here. So when you come back up here, remember we had this conversation.
Here's the difference though. You're an actual fan of the team you're saying, and I'm not supposed to be a team. Like I like that team, but that's not my team.
Okay.
Like you got to take some weight into that. I'm being completely impartial. There's some bias in your discussion, and I saw how happy you got. It's okay.
No, because you know why I did, because I said what everybody else said. See, I'm still on the fence about Anthony Richardson.
Because he hasn't played.
But what I'm saying is, even going back to the draft, I don't want the most athletic quarterback, the quarterback that jumps the highest, the quarterback with the strongest arm, the quarterback that's cooler than everybody else. I usually don't want that quarterback. Anthony Richardson, I'm still ciphering through that.
Where did he go to college at?
Anthony Richardson, he went to Florida.
He's Lamar Jackson 2.0. And I dig it because I like athletic quarterbacks. I like everything about it.
But what I'm saying is everything about Anthony Richardson, I'm not saying it. I just want it to be clear that it's been said. All right, hold on, let's finish up because we got about 5 minutes left in this. So who's falling off a cliff?
Justin Herbert.
I couldn't have said anything. You must have looked at the reel. Can I tell you something? The biggest reel that we had, it was another podcast basically saying Justin Herbert in consensus, Joe Burrow in consensus was the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. And I said it's not Joe Burrow. It's Justin Herbert. The biggest thing that I ever did in this thing was basically say Justin Herbert was the biggest the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. So explain what you were saying now.
You cannot, you will not, and probably will never be able to replace a Keenan Allen. That security
and Mike Williams. Mike Williams
was a big part of it, but the security blanket that Keenan Allen was for Justin Herbert was fucking insane. Like he would throw to that man 5 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
You're replacing everything, and I think Harbaugh is an overrated coach. I got the good Harbaugh. This Harbaugh is overrated as fuck. He won in Michigan, and he cashed in his ticket at the right time. So I do think Justin Herbert is a talented quarterback, but as far as production next year,
listen, quarterback ain't about how talented you are. It's about wins. Tom Brady was never the most talented quarterback.
He ain't winning.
He won.
He ain't winning. My other ones falling off. I feel like Trevor Lawrence has fallen off. You cannot replace Calvin Ridley, and I feel like every year they look even more confused. Baker Mayfield already said he's going to have a sophomore slump. No one expected him to do that good that last year, and I don't think he's going to do that good again. I think he's going to do worse this year. So he threw for 4,000 yards, and he looked great. He's not capable of doing that again. I don't think he's capable of doing that.
I agree. I'm not mad at what you just said there. Finally in the show, I'm not mad at what you said there.
You're going to be mad at this.
Wow.
Kyler Murray is going to have a fucking problem because you gave him the prom queen in the draft, and now you're going to expect production out of him. And I don't think that Kyler Murray is going to be able to take that pressure.
Okay, hold that thought. So my 2 that I had for falling off was Tua Tagovailoa, first of all, and then I also had Geno Smith, and it's really because I just feel as though when you got 3 wide receivers like that, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to be in search for a quarterback next year.
So the only thing I have against that is they didn't make the playoffs last year. So like,
yeah, but they got 3 legit wide receivers though. and they're not going to make the playoffs.
Another time you're gonna be wrong. I like this. I like when you're wrong. I really do.
So the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs.
You know what? I take the Seahawks over the Cardinals and the Rams. So yeah.
I didn't. First of all, I didn't ask that question. I said, "Are the Seahawks going to the playoffs?"
And I just said, so yes, I'll take the Seahawks over the Cardinals and the Rams.
Or they're I can't
the
wait.
spot.
Listen, don't worry. You're going to be back on pretty soon, so don't worry about that. But I heard what you had to say for right now. We're going to wrap this up because we're getting a little to the end of the show. And we're going to finish this conversation. But just next time, the things that you say when the camera ain't here, you just make sure it's the same things that you said when the camera
We
is
got
here.
2 minutes left. 2 teams from the NFC East. 2 teams from the hold on. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys and Eagles. I'm gonna go with the Lions and the Packers. I'm gonna go with
I don't have the Packers.
I'm gonna go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's one. Yeah, the Seahawks are making it, my boy.
Nope, I got the Niners. I got the Falcons. I got the Lions. I got 2 from the NFC East. And just looking it back over. Oh, the Bears. The Bears are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, the Bears making the playoffs?
Absolutely.
You don't got the Packers going?
I think the Bears got too good. I think the Packers are the 3rd best team in this division. And it's not Jordan Love's fault, but I do think that the Bears got better than them this offseason. But hold that thought, because we got to wrap this up, unfortunately, sir. So you already know, man. We always love it when you come on, man. I love it when you bring this heat because everybody don't bring it like this, and I love it. But
I love. Let me write this shit down because you're gonna be wrong, and more wrong.
That's
boy.
okay.
He said
for the fans, you can catch our full episodes on Spotify and on YouTube, and you can catch our reels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We all over the place. Zara, man, you know I respect you. You know I respect you. I don't have to say it, but unfortunately I got to tell you too, cuz you don't know football. Just like Martin said, I'm gonna see you when I see you. Peace.
Peace out.